that one.
I'd like to read just a couple of paragraphs, or maybe 3 paragraphs, from my history relating to the summation of that effort. As the Marines left Iwo Jima, the Army moved in and rebuilt the airstrips, which were so important to the war effort and the major reason for taking the island. A letter written by the commander of the 21st Bomber Command, stationed on Saipan, to the commander of the 5th Marine Division, which was my division, in April 1945, portrays the importance of the conquest. And this is a quote from the commander of that bomber group. Inasmuch as the officers and men of your command played so vital a role in the securing of Iwo Jima, I am sure you will have a personal satisfaction in knowing that to date more than 300 B-29s have made emergency landings there. A large percentage of these planes and their crews would have been forced to ditch at sea had not landing facilities been available at Iwo. The Air Force commander went on to say that in honor of the men of the 5th Marines, they were naming one of their B-29s for the Fighting Fifth and inscribing the spearhead insignia of the 5th Division on the plane. Iwo Jima had been a decisive battle, strategically important to the United States and demoralizing to the Japanese, for that island was Japanese soil. Other battles the Japs had lost involved land they had taken early in the war, the Philippines, the Solomon Islands, and the like. But this piece of real estate they had held before their attack on Pearl Harbor. It was wholly Japanese. After that campaign, the 5th Division went back to Hawaii to train for the big invasion of Japan. The welcome by the people of Hawaii was warm and enthusiastic. The Senate of the Territory of Hawaii adopted the following resolution. This is a quote. Whereas in the long and glorious history of the United States Marine Corps, one epic scene of valor succeeds another. And whereas in all that glorious history the Marines have never fought with greater valor or contempt for their own lives and safety than in the conquest of Iwo Jima. And whereas not merely their fabulous courage and fortitude, but the immense importance of their conquest to the speedy victory over the enemy commands the respect and gratitude of the American people. And whereas the 5th Division of the United States Marine Corps is an old friend of the people of the territory, and particularly of the island of Hawaii, and has now returned to rest and recuperate on Hawaii, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 23rd session of the Legislature of the Territory of Hawaii, that the heartfelt welcome of the Senate and the people of Hawaii be extended to the officers and men of the 5th Division of the United States Marine Corps upon their return to the island of Hawaii after their magnificent part in the quest of Iwo Jima, and be it further resolved that copies be sent to various and sundry Haimaki people.
So you got the royal treatment.
We got the royal treatment in Hawaii. Yeah, they love the Marines. They like the Marines, and for good reason too. Well, there were many things happened on the island of Hawaii. We trained for for the invasion of Japan. We were aboard ship, heading for a rendezvous for the invasion of Japan, when word came of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, or
Nagasaki?
Nagasaki and Hiroshima, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, Hiroshima. Hiroshima, I guess it would be pronounced. Many people have questioned, there were hundreds of thousands of people who were killed in those two bombings. And many people have questioned the wisdom and the, what should I say, the humanitarian aspect of bombing with that much power and killing that much people. But it brought to end a war that would have gone on for probably years. The Japanese would have defended their homeland. They are a proud people, and there would have been millions of people killed by bombing and by a land invasion of Japan. It would have been terrible. And although the atomic bombs were terrible things, horrible things, terrible things done to people, many of them lived with the effects of it for years and years and years. But it did bring to a conclusion the war, America's war, because we were the ones, with the help of the Australians. They were great people. Australians were right there. That war ended in September of 1945. We landed at Sasebo after the end of the war for occupying, and I was only there for a few weeks because I had a lot of points. I was overseas twice, and I was in combat, so they had a point system for discharge, and I had lots of points, so I was sent home after about, 2 or 3 weeks of occupation duty in Japan. Arrived home, was discharged in November the 8th, I think it was, 1945. Grateful for my experiences with the Marine Corps. I had a lot of friends, some of them alive, some of them dead, but all good friends many of whom paid a terrible price, the price of freedom, for freedom is not free. That's it.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that record, and I think this record will be value to your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and those who follow after them to hear this eyewitness report, and I thank you very much.
One thing I didn't mention was the flag raising on Iwo Jima. You want me to talk about that? Oh,
Sure.
The flag raising on Iwo Jima, that very, very famous picture of the Marines raising the flag on the top of Mount Suribachi. I was at the foot of Mount Suribachi, and the Japanese were ahead of us. We were moving north on the island, and Mount Suribachi was at our backs. And the Japanese were shooting at us from the front and from Mount Suribachi on the back. So when that flag was raised, we were overjoyed because it eliminated the enemy at our back. And we could then concentrate on moving up that island and doing the job we were sent there to do. A lot of people saw that flag go up, and I was one of them. It was a good sight. A lot of us laughed and then we cried. Then we laughed and then we cried, because it was such a momentous thing
Absolutely.
to see that flag. Great flag. I love the flag.